I've already played the entirety of the Security Breach Ruin DLC, and so have you. We all have, because the entire plot of Ruin has been hiding under our noses the entire time. So slices, put on your aprons, and let's bake ourselves a theory. Also, happy Pride. If you can't guess this flag's colors, I did my best with the lights, but as a hint, I'm wearing a yellow shirt for a reason. First, let's gather our ingredients. If I'm going to make a claim this massive, I better have equally massive evidence to back it up. So what could possibly lead me to this conclusion? Well, let's go over everything the trailer tells us about this expansion. Right away, we get a name and some somewhat hard to see visuals of our main character, Cassie. Between this faraway shot, this singular frame we get of the wrong camera angle, and the poster, we can see that Cassie is a girl in similar age to Gregory, with green painted nails, a magenta shirt with possibly a purple undershirt, jean shorts, some kind of bracelet, and we cannot forget about her sick nasty light up Skechers. We also see that she has some gadgets at her disposal that she's pretty adept with. She's got the standard flashlight, a Roxy talkie, this weird hacker radio thing that we'll talk about, and also these cameras, which, by the way, can we talk about how weird these cameras are? I don't really have a theory about them, but at least the Fazwatch kind of made sense, like we're using it and we always have it on us, it hacks into the system. These camera systems are strange to me though, because they look like they're meant to be portable, like it unfolds as if it was a briefcase, but they're huge and docked into something, so clearly they're not portable. They were placed here by something or someone. And another mini theory about them, now this doesn't really tell us about the plot, it's just a hunch I have, but we see this wire panel that looks very similar to the actual camera machine we see here. So I wonder if this wire panel turns into a camera when you successfully complete whatever task it has. Just a little pet theory of mine. Anyways, we have a few scenes of her using these gadgets, most notably her using the Roxy talkie to call out to Gregory, accessing that wire panel I was talking about with her weird hacker radio thing, and of course using the flashlight. Then we get several shots of the animatronics. All of them seem to be as aggressive as you would expect, except for two shots, Roxy and Sun Moon. Roxy is aggressive for most of the trailer, but in this shot, which looks like it should be a jump scare, she looks more inquisitive than aggressive, and overall non-vicious. To add on more to the strangeness, this seeming jump scare of Sun Moon looks like they found us hiding, but instead of attacking us, just waved hi, possibly looking to quote-unquote help us like Sun did in the daycare, but it could just be Moon's personality shining through. After all, waving happily to us and then killing us is not out of character for Moon at all. In fact, it's very on brand. Overall, it's hard to know for certain. Going back to gadgets available to us, near the end of the trailer, we see our main protagonist pick up what looks like the Help Wanted Vanny mask, or some iteration of it, with digital eyes. When she puts it on, she's able to see the daycare in this weird digital view. Finally, right after that at the end of the trailer, we see this glitchy rabbit mess. So that's everything we see in the trailer, but how in the world does that give me the notion that I already know the entire plot of Ruin, let alone have played it throughout? Well, the first piece of evidence that led me down this path was a file name that has since been changed via updates. When the game first came out and people started digging through the files, we quickly found that the sprite for the Princess and Princess quest was originally named Cassidy. At first, myself and many others made the snap judgment, oh, this is Golden Freddy. It's a golden girl named Cassidy coming after William Afton. Cassidy's back. But now I'm thinking not so much, mainly because of this new girl, Cassie. Sure, the princess could still be an iteration of Golden Freddy, it's hard to tell, but I think the entire plot of Princess Quest is telling us what we're going to be doing in Ruin. And to prove it, let's add Princess Quest to the ingredients list. As a quick refresher, here's how the 3 Princess Quest arcade machines go. The first one finds us with nothing but a lantern exploring this abandoned, crumbling castle. We avoid these 2 types of rabbit enemies, lighting the way and occasionally lighting torches to solve puzzles. This may or may not be important, but it's worth noting that every time we upgrade our health, the princess remarks how strange it feels. Eventually, we find a purple glitchy key that unlocks a purple glitchy lock. Going down a long hallway, we're greeted with this image. Some pulsing mass of purple rabbit glitchiness. It says an encrypted message which can be translated to, "It's me, I always come back." Also, the audio playing at the time, if reversed and sped up, says, "I always come back, let me out." We're then enveloped in darkness and the game ends. The next one starts out in this really pretty mushroom-filled cave, and this strange old man gives us the Sword of Light. We then pretty much do similar tasks as the first game, except now we can fight back, and occasionally we'll light a red lantern that creates a shadow copy of ourselves to help solve different puzzles. And instead of a crumbling castle, this time we're in crumbling caves. But at the end, we're brought back to our original room, and the old man tells us that our quest is done. However, you then see this purple glitchy mess on the opposite door. Going through it, you're taken out of the game into what looks like a recreation of the FNAF 1 office. The game then ends there. Princess Quest 3, notably hidden in Vanny's hideout, begins in that very same room. Leaving the room, it looks like we're in a recreation of Help Wanted. One of the theories about this game goes that since the original Princess Quest is in the mobile port of Help Wanted, what we're playing now is the princess essentially breaking out of her game into Help Wanted as a whole. Regardless, there's a red chest we can't unlock, and the Showtime curtain is locked. To unlock the chest, we need to go to the right through a series of conveyor belts and Chica staring at us to get this plushy version of Glitch Trap. On the left side, we go through a recreation of how you get the Vanny mask in Help Wanted proper, going through a maze with Grim Foxy chasing you. Once you have the Vanny mask and the Glitch Trap plushie, you can open the chest, getting the purple glitched key. Once you do that, you can unlock Showtime, go down a long cavernous hallway, and find the locked door that Glitch Trap locks Vanessa behind. You unlock it, a scream plays, and then it cuts to black. Okay, I think I know what message I want to send. Here goes everything. Come on. Come on. Okay. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. The batteries are enough for the monitor, but not enough to actually send a message. I need something else. A sponsor. Maybe this will get me something. Today's video is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan Injury Law Firm. Injured and don't know where to start? With Morgan & Morgan, it's so easy because they've brought the injury law process to the modern day. You can submit everything, case details, signed documents, photos, even talk to your legal team all through your phone. In fact, with Morgan & Morgan, you can submit a claim without ever having to leave the couch. And if you've had an injury, reaching out to a law firm is something you should do. And that can apply to a lot of things, one of the most common being car accidents. Submitting an injury claim after a car accident is a no-brainer. You can protect your rights, you have nothing to lose, a firm like Morgan & Morgan can figure out if you have a case or not, and it costs nothing unless you win. Their fee is free. And submitting a claim isn't this long, stuffy process with Morgan & Morgan, because in 8 clicks or less, you could submit a claim with Morgan & Morgan. So if you're ever injured in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. You can submit a claim in 8 clicks or less, without ever having to leave your couch. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/righthost or dial #law, that's #529 in your cell phone. Thanks again to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's video. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Huh. That might do the trick. I'm not opposed to using what I need to. Okay, we're in business. Let's try to send a message. Go. Huh, I only sent part of it. It's okay, it's okay. At least I sent some of the letters. So how are these two things related? Well, let's mix our ingredients and see what kind of theories start to form. There are two most obvious connections I can see us making first. The most direct one being the one I mentioned previously that has since been changed. The original name for the Princess Quest sprite, Cassidy.png. Again, this was later changed in updates to just princess.png, but we're not sure if this was to prevent people from discovering it too quickly or to change a mistake they accidentally left in. The real question is, does this Cassidy refer to the Golden Freddy Cassidy vengeful spirit that's been hunting down William like I've said in previous theories, or is it in reference to this new character Cassie? Again, it could be both, but if it's only one, at this point, my money's on Cassie. Another immediate connection to make is the Vanny mask. Granted, this mask and this mask are not the same mask. The top of the hair is different, one has hollow eyes while the other has these digital eyes, but it's still notable that we pick both of these things up, and presumably both of them are used to help defeat the big bad. Okay, those connections are really solid, but what other connections can we make here? Well, the connection between this giant mass of rabbits and this rabbit we see at the end of the trailer feels really solid. After all, we're like 90% sure that this giant mass of rabbits is the current iteration of Glitch Trap, either represented or literally inhabiting within the Princess Quest arcade machine. And if my last week's theory is correct on what this bunny is, aka Glitch Trap possessing something, then that's pretty one-to-one. They also share lots of visual similarities. Glitchy face, tears down the eyes, a color scheme of purple. It makes a lot of sense. Also, if you look at this frame of the rabbit, you'll notice there's this weird pile of something in the corner. Now, this could just be odd lighting or the rest of its body and it's like crawling or something, but to me, it sort of looks like the top of the blob. And if this is attached to the blob, this connection is a lot stronger. What's more, this conveyor room always felt really odd to a lot of us, myself included. Sure, it's just some conveyor puzzle, but why is Chica there just staring at us? At the time, a lot of us, myself included, included just assumed that it was a reference to the fact that Chica saw everything and was the first. But now I'm thinking something different, because if we look at the Ruin trailer, there's two areas we see with a lot of conveyor belts. One of them has Chica's cupcake in the background, and the other one literally has Chica riding them. An area with conveyor belts and Chica's presence. This is a strong connection to me anyway. Okay, fine. So what? What can we make of all of this? Well, if Princess Quest really is the blueprints of Ruin, what does that tell us? Well, let's pop our mixture into the oven and see what kind of horrors begin to rise. When Princess Quest begins, we're equipped with only a lantern exploring this abandoned castle until we eventually meet Glitchtrap head on and get in some way captured. I think this is telling us the first chunk of Ruin. Cassie's just a child after all. It's not like she'd roll up to the Pizzaplex with a Batman tool belt. She probably shows up with just a flashlight, maybe the Roxy Talkie, looking for Gregory. We'll do some exploring, some puzzle solving, but eventually we'll run into him, Glitchtrap. Possibly even the iteration we see of him at the end of this trailer. That way it's not a huge spoiler for the DLC. But we're underprepared. We have no way to defend ourselves or tackle him. We're caught. Princess Quest 2 starts with us underground, being greeted by an old man who gives us the tool we need to fight back. I think this is telling us that after the encounter with Glitchtrap, we barely survive and make it out of there, possibly falling into the area where the Pizzaplex is underground. And while we're there, someone or something gives us this hacker remote. I'm not 100% on who that would be, but look at the item that we have here. It is a Fazbear branded weird service remote that has several dials and buttons and a grip. Like, this looks like a maintenance worker's tool or something a security guard would have. This doesn't look like a modified toy like the Fazwatch did. In other words, whatever this is, I don't think Cassie has access to it when she arrives at the Pizzaplex. I think we challenge Glitchtrap, get humbled pretty quickly, and then a kind stranger gives us our very own Sword of Light, a hacking remote capable of collecting items, interacting with objects, and if these ports on Roxy's eyes are anything to go by, possibly even hacking into the animatronics or system itself to combat Glitchtrap directly. This handheld radio-looking thing is our Sword of Light. At the end of Princess Quest 2, she finishes her quest, but keeps pushing further. She knows the glitch is still here and seeks it out, pushing further after corruptions and getting stuck in a FNAF 1-esque office. I think this is telling us that at some point in Ruin, we'll complete the reason we came here, but push forward. Like Gregory at the beginning of 6 AM in the base game, we realize if we just do what we came for and leave, the problem remains. We're after the problem. This leads me to Princess Quest 3, the strangest of the bunch. While this is mostly allusions to Help Wanted, I still think it's telling us what we're going to be doing in Ruin. To defeat Afton in Princess Quest, you need to collect a Glitchtrap plush animal and the Vanny Mask. The Vanny Mask you find in the maze guarded by Grim Foxy, and the Glitchtrap plush you find in this conveyor room. Going back to Ruin, seeing how the Pizzaplex looks while wearing the Vanny Mask, I wouldn't doubt that this piece is actually needed to find and defeat Glitchtrap. And if that's the case, why are we not to assume that we'll also need some physical object manifestation of Glitchtrap, like the plush in Princess Quest and Help Wanted, some way to channel him to then combat him. And I think Princess Quest is telling us exactly how we'll get these items. We'll find the physical manifestation of Glitchtrap somewhere in this conveyor room we see Chica in. It might even be a piece of Glamrock Bonnie if this is where the broken animatronics are ending up. And since we see the Vanny Mask being used in the daycare, I think this is telling us where we'll find it first, lying on the ground somewhere, in the maze of the play area, guarded by an animatronic, Eclipse. Notably, Eclipse is a fan name. I didn't come up with it, and also it's not canon, but it is cool and I hope they go with it. Actually, this connection between Foxy and Sun and Moon actually backs up a pet theory of mine that I've been kicking around in the background. Bake with me for a second. The Bobby Dot story tells us that Sun Moon was not the original daycare attendant. Rather, they were a theater performer meant to have this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality in general, but something happened to the daycare attendant and they needed to replace it quickly with Sun Moon. They went to take away the moon part, so it was just a happy-go-lucky daycare attendant, but they couldn't take off the light trigger. So instead, they installed those generators we see in-game and made sure the lights stayed on all the time. But in that case, I was trying to think of who the original original daycare attendant would be, because that all lines up from the books, so there's no reason to believe that the idea that Sun and Moon are an interim daycare just quickly slotted in. It makes sense. But if that makes sense, who was the original daycare attendant? Well, what's the other half of the daycare in the actual atrium itself? Kids Cove. We even see parts of it in the daycare proper. I would put money on the fact that if any iteration of Foxy was in the Pizzaplex, he was the original daycare attendant. Something happened to him and he had to be replaced by Sun and Moon. And if that's true, this connection between Princess Quest Foxy and ruined Sun Moon just makes that theory even stronger. Finally, there's something I want to note about Princess Quest. Look at how we beat Glitch Trap. We opened the locked door that was presumably hiding him or keeping Vanessa contained, and while in the real world, Vanessa, Gregory, and Freddy just happily leave the Pizzaplex, in the game, all we hear is a scream. The game gives us very little reason to believe that we've actually defeated Glitch Trap. If anything, it seems like we've unleashed him. The first thing he tells us is to let him out, and we end Princess Quest 3 by opening a locked door? And I think that's on purpose, because I think in Ruin, we're not going to defeat Glitch Trap. If anything, we're going to free him. I don't think Gregory is in the Pizzaplex at all. After all, in the epilogues, several times the Mimic, either the one-to-one connection with Burntrap or the parallel to him, whichever way you want to look at it, the Mimic is in some way correlated to Burntrap, right? And several times in the epilogues, the Mimic uses a walkie-talkie radio system to try to pretend to be a kid to lure the teens into a trap and kill them. And what do we have in Ruin? Gregory talking to Cassie over the radio to try to help him. It's a trap. Think about it. What are the instructions that we're using to try to defeat Glitch Trap? We're getting a mask of one of his followers that Vanessa uses in Help Wanted to speak to him, and a physical manifestation of him. It doesn't sound like we're trying to defeat him. It sounds like we're becoming a follower of him. Afton is out of options, and he wants more servants, so he pretends to be Gregory, reaching out to any kid that he can find. Eventually, Cassie answers the call, and he convinces her that if she collects these things, she can not only save Gregory, but end this whole Glitch Trap nightmare for everybody. But instead of destroying whatever creature waits for her at the bottom of this DLC, she just opens the door, accidentally making herself a vessel for pure evil. So that's everything on Cassie and her role in the DLC. The question then becomes, if that's our protagonist, what the hell is this rabbit creature, our antagonist? Well, if you want to know that, I made a full video right here that you can go and click. A huge shout out to the Toasted Slices, the best channel members around, and until next time, as always, stay toasty, slices.